Won't give me the new customer discount. Okay. A few years ago my wife and I purchased our first home in upstate New York. We weren't moving far, just 2 towns over, about a 20-minute drive. Around this same time, our local internet provider was running a promotion for new customers offering 5x the internet speed for roughly half of what we were currently paying. A couple of weeks before our move, I called the internet company to let them know that we were moving and to transfer our service. I asked if it would be possible to receive the new customer discount with the move and was told in no uncertain terms that this was not possible. I insisted that I wanted the new customer rate and even threatened to cancel, but they called my bluff, knowing that they were a monopoly and that I had no other legitimate option. Thinking quickly, I asked if it would be possible to get the new customer rate by simply remove my name from the account and adding my wife's name instead. The representative balked at the suggestion and even quoted from a paragraph from my customer agreement outlining how such a transfer from one family member to another is not allowed. Then it occurred to me. I asked the representative if he knew my wife's name or the address to which we were moving. After a brief pause, he answered, no. I then happily let him know that I would like to cancel my service, effective at the end of the month. He was adamant that any attempt to circumvent their transfer policy was a violation of my contract, but eventually agreed to the cancellation. 2 weeks later, after our move and a half-an-hour phone call, my wife signed up for our new cheap, fast internet. They jacked our rates up a couple of years later, but it felt good to get just one over on the big bully. Old customer penalty is the phrase I've adopted when the call center tries this stupid tactic. Nicely done. I also don't think you violated any contract because by the time your wife signed up, your contract had ended. So his try to threaten you was nothing but hot air lol. I have a tenant on the same property as my house. Somehow, when they opened an account they screwed up my service. I had to show up at their store in person to try and get it fixed. The guy at the counter was actually really cool about it. He said he couldn't fix my account because he's not sure how it got screwed up, but he would cancel my current account and make me a new one, and since it's a new account, I got the new customer discount again. Internet, cable monopolies should be illegal. US gave away billions to these companies and we got nothing back in return. If you call to cancel and say, I'm moving, or, I'm switching, or anything like that, the poor representative will be fired if they don't go through that part of the retention script. They hate reading it way more than you hate sitting through it. Just say, decline to state instead. People online will say, tell them you're moving abroad, or, going to prison, or stuff like that, relying on known easy outs in the script, but I really don't see the point. You don't owe them an explanation. Don't give them one. Ah yes, crapcast or time wanna rip you off. Nice. Meanwhile I moved into my first apartment, set up a date to have them come install. Wait all day, no one shows. Call up to ask what gives, and even though all of my information is totally different, they said the previous tenant owed them, so I have to pay it before they set me up. Luckily my in-laws were in an apartment 2 floors above, so my father-in-law just ran extra coax and Ethernet to our apartment off his connection. We tried. I work at a call center that handles types of insurance. I get these calls often and customers would say, "I'll just cancel and reset it up," to which I have to say there was a 3-month cooling off period before they could set the cover up again. I would always say though, there is a 3-month cool off under your name, so we can't set it up as a new customer under your name, trying to give them the hint to ask a spouse partner to set it up. Most got the hint but a few would go ballistic. It's not like I made these stupid rules, but I have to follow them or I get in shit. I even had one person ask me directly if he should get his wife to set it up after he cancelled, and I had to really skirt the lines between hinting and saying no. Haha. Me and my hubby moved out of London to the north. We were with BT and were on a fairly decent bandwidth. London were about to get 65 Malab, I think. Not sure. And where we were moving to was literally a tenth of the speed. We asked to cancel the contract. No. But we are moving, we can still provide. But it's not as good. Give me a second. Hello, it seems we no longer require you to stick to your contact. Goodbye. Big companies can do what they want and hate people questioning them. That's why renewing insurance with a new company is cheaper than accepting the renewal quote from who you are with, usually the well company B offered. This makes company A agree to a lower price they inflate due to lazy people not checking the competition. Damn. That's why I'm happy living in France. We have really low prices for telecom. I pay €22 per month for fiber, 1,000 down 500 up, and €10 for mobile phone, unlimited calls, SMS and 80 gigs. And all of these are not timed prices. I can't imagine these contracts with data caps and other shenanigans. I have a Sirius XM radio. I got a deal that was $5 a month for a year, renewing at the current rate after the year. I set up a calendar reminder to cancel a few days before renewal. Called to cancel. When they asked why, I say Bekasu it's worth the %4 month I was paying but not worth the $17 or so they wanted to charge, with other options leak Spotify etc. out there. They agreed to the $5 a month for another year. Repeat after year 2. I'll do it again next year, and if they say no I'll just cancel them altogether. Man, this peanuts. I switched ownership of my house to my, at the time girlfriend, now wife, so when we relocated for work she was eligible for the full $20k USD package. She gave me half the money. Worked out okay. In our old house, the previous owner had rented out the basement, so that meant the house technically had 2 addresses. Every 2 years when my high-speed internet contract expired, I'd just sign up as a new user on the other address. I did this multiple times over the 10 years we lived there. I remember when the UK mobile networks were this stupid too. At one point my network refused to let me keep my number when I wanted to upgrade from prepaid to a monthly contract. But, by law they had to let me take my number to any competitor, so, by then. They jacked our rates up a couple of years later. Yeah. I know which provider that is. Advertises cheap rates, small print, for 1 or 2 years, but will never ever tell you what the post-introduction price is. Typically you are not considered a new customer if you had an account in the last 12 months. So yeah, the good old switch person who owns the account thing works pretty well. Reminds of the joke where a student finished their exam later than everybody, and then the teacher said they couldn't turn in because it was late. Then the student challenged, "Do you know who I am?" For which the teacher, unamused, said no. Hearing that, the student just put their paper in the middle of the stack and left the room. I don't understand why customer retention isn't a thing with most companies. HBO had been emailing me about a new customer deal and I missed it by 1 day. I called customer service to see if they could apply it for me and they said no. Rejecting a potential new customer over an arbitrary 24-hour deadline. Fine. I house sit for friends a few times a year. I'll just binge every show while I'm there and you'll never get any money from me. I hate cable, internet and cell phone companies. What a bunch jerks. Similar story man. My first house had electric water heater, oven and dryer. Natural gas furnace. First spring I got a bill that said no service this month. $10.50, okay. So I call and try saying no. They disagreed. How much is it to cancel my service? Free. And to start it? Free. And you won't just not bill me. You can send a guy out to my house twice for $0 or not at all for $0. I'm not paying you $84 a year just for fun. Which do you want? That's not up to me, sir. It's up to you. 2 visits a year for the whole time I lived there. Idiots. Stories like this make me love my current ISP even more. They're a small Vancouver-based one who actually call you up before your end of term to remind you to call back when you have time and see what promotions you can have applied to your renewal as if you were a new customer. When I was with Comcast several years ago, I was thinking of cutting the cord, so I asked every couple of months if they had any new plan with a higher speed than my 100 MBs with data cap. They always said they didn't in the internet-only plans, only in the combo including landline, PFFT. Eventually AT&T came to the neighborhood with gigabit internet, so for less price I would have 10 times the speed. The call to Comcast to cancel was orgasmic. I want to cancel my service, why? Let me remind you that we're the best company in the whole world. Oh, AT&T is offering gigabit for $70. But, we can offer you 300 megabits per second and no data caps for the same price. So they had it all along. Sorry, gigabit is still faster, CA. My partner and I do this. We switch off every other contract for the new customer pricing. Comcast only makes you wait 90 days to do so. Similar situation when I was getting my last phone. Big discount off the phone purchase price for people switching carriers. Being a customer for 10 years, I asked if there was any customer loyalty bonuses and they said, no, sorry. I went to a competitor, transferred my number to them on a prepaid plan. Went back to the other store about a week later and got my carrier transfer discount on the phone. He was adamant that any attempt to circumvent their transfer policy was a violation of my contract. Once you cancel your service, the only question is what contract. Spectrum can go suck a fuck. I've never had a bad experience requesting to be transferred to my ISP's customer retentions department. I play this little game every time I know my prices are going up and they always cut me a deal. The main reason I'm waiting for my Starlink antenna. I can't wait to tell Comcast, Xfinity I will never give them a single penny. I hate them with passion. Internet could and should be free. Cool story, bro. But where is the compliance? These monopolies should be done away with. Or more heavily regulated than they are. Banks do the same, new customer gets free this and that for the first year. What about me? I've banked with them for 25 years and got fuck all. We have two main internet providers in our area that are comparable in speeds and coverage. We switch back and forth between them every couple years when the promotional price is over. What's even better is the company we aren't using will start sending, come back to us, postcards with additional promos, lol. The most recent includes a reduced monthly rate and a $200 Visa gift card which would roughly pay for the first 4 months of service. Like, just charge a fair monthly rate to begin with, but whatever. He was adamant that any attempt to circumvent their transfer policy was a violation of my contract. What contract? I'm cancelling it. Come the end of the month, I won't have a contract with you. If they have a monopoly, why offer the discount in the first place? Bahahaha. My mom and I did a similar thing. One of the big telecom companies here has new customer deals as well as often having loyalty discounts. This company was offering a new service. To transfer to this new service would have cost more than our current service. When my mom asked, there was no loyalty discount because it was a new service that couldn't have loyalty yet. So my mom asked about a new customer discount, but was told that she didn't qualify because she was an existing customer. Makes sense, right? So she cancelled and I signed up with a new customer discount. Same address. My mom is on the account as a trusted person who can speak to the account and make changes. Every time my rate goes up I call up and ask that they change the rate back to whatever the current special is. They do it every time. They would rather have the continuity than the argument. We did something similar. Instead of going the wife route, we simply said roommate. I called and said I was comparing rates for the move to decide if we would keep the internet in my name or would just get new service in her name. Her being me, I always did all the stuff masquerading as my husband because he didn't want to deal with it. They saw what was happening and just gave me a different promotional rate that was comparable to the new customer one. Then a year later we split and I got the new customer rate in my name anyway. I did that using my daughter-in-law's maiden name. One of the AT&T techs told me to. Sprint did this exact same thing to me after being a good customer for over 17 years. Needless to say, my 18th year with this phone number, but I am now an AT&T customer. BTW. That never stops working. My wife and I have different last names. Every time my rate gets jacked up I feel to tell him to lower it out, I'll cancel. If they don't, I happen to be moving out the next month and for some reason my wife is moving back in. As a fellow upstate New Yorker, I'm guessing this monopoly sounds like rectum. Also, based on your username, I think I can guess which convenience store you likely frequent. Like, dude, the company isn't going to give you anything for being such a dick. Why do call center employees act like this? He was adamant that any attempt to circumvent their transfer policy was a violation of my contract. What contract? We're canceling the contract. America sounds like a crazy place. Comcast is like this. I am about to move for the 5th time in a decade. My husband and I take turns being the new customer. This move he gets to be the new customer. They tried so hard to keep me when I called him to give them a disconnect date. They wouldn't give me the rate of a new customer, so Xfinity did this to me once. Except they actually cancelled my service and started it again to give me the rate all on the same phone call. I mean, I'm glad they did, but what a messed up system. We did the exact same thing when we moved out of our last rental. But shortly after our move, we learned that our new town, smaller village, actually had a second internet option. When we changed providers, the old one didn't argue after he asked, why? And the new one suggested YouTube TV because it was cheaper than what his company offered for cable. It was crazy. Why was he so honest and nice? I don't get it. JK. I get it. I'm that person who could totally imagine getting fired for telling people to go elsewhere. Anyway, same true story. Last time I switched providers, the service representative informed me that I could just switch names on the subscription in order to get the lower intro price. Unfortunately, I'd already had the other company install their cable and modem, but next time I need to switch within that first company, I know their reps are willing to do that. The second company is not AFIC. This is why competition is important. As long as we only had one option, we didn't have a choice. Good old TW Spectrum. I despise them almost as much as AT.